Jesus Christ, nearly died. Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates, and my opinions. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way now to 12,900 subscribers, and if you could click the like button, I would be incredibly grateful. Just rack up as many likes right this second as you possibly can. That would be fantastic. It would really help me get over the weekend, to be honest with you, which obviously was not a sensational weekend whatsoever. And it was followed up by the news today that Edu has left the club. Pretty unexpected news, truthfully. A few months ago, he had been linked with a move away, but when he was asked about it, he was pretty firm about staying at Arsenal. So what's changed in that time? We'll talk about Edu in general. I mean, obviously, the reaction online today has been, as you would expect, nonsensical mostly. So we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about, the current situation at Arsenal, which is obviously not ideal. But is it as bad as some people would have you believe? Anyway, look, it's a Monday. There's loads of you here, which we love to see. Lord Ferguson of Aberdeen, Layla, Ethan Udall, Oslo Guna, Vivi Vlad, Icarus, Hyper, Logical Nonsense, Saliba, Lukey, Frazar K, top player, Dark Arts, Ross Lawman, Denla, Emily, Ryan Magnus, and many, many more. Will's the Gods in here as well. Nathan Devon, Carter, it is good to see you. Hannah, Leeds Gunner. Ralph Rangnick would be a good, intelligent footballing choice for sporting director. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Do you know what? One thing I've not really done today, and the reason is I don't actually know that much about that side of the game. I've not really put much thought into who should actually replace Edu. Because, like I say, I know Ralph Rangnick's got a good sort of footballing brain for that sort of thing, but I don't really know. You could throw me names of sporting directors and I wouldn't know. I'd probably have heard of their name, but I wouldn't know if they were good or if they suit Arsenal or anything else. So, I think that'll be an interesting one. Obviously, look, there's not even a guarantee that Edu actually gets replaced. The hierarchy at Arsenal is interesting. Vinay left. We never really replaced him with the CEO. Richard Garlick has stepped up. Tim Lewis is more involved. So, there's a lot of kind of high ups already there. And I do wonder if Edu actually gets replaced. It will be interesting. And we'll talk about what it means. But look, first we'll get into the statement that the club put out this evening. Edu Gaspar resigns as sporting director. Edu, our former player and Invincible, rejoined us in the role of technical director in July 2019. He progressed through the club and was promoted to sporting director in November 2022, where he oversaw men's, women's, and academy football. We thank Edu for the part he's played in our renewed football strategy and driving the club forward with the values of Arsenal in his heart. Edu said this was an incredibly hard decision to make. Arsenal has given me the opportunity to work with so many amazing people and the chance to be a part of something so special in the club's history. It's been a special journey, and I thank Stan, Josh, Tim, and Lord Harris for the support that they've given me. I've loved working with so many great colleagues across our men's, women's, and academy teams, especially Mikel, who has become a great friend. Now it is time for me to pursue a different challenge. Arsenal will always remain in my heart. I wish the club and its supporters only good things and all the very best. And Josh Kroenke added, we respect Edu's decision and thank him for the immense contribution and dedication to drive the club forward. Everyone at the club wishes him well. We are all so fond of him and the positive energy that he brings to everything and everyone. Change and evolution is a part of our club. We remain focused on our strategy and winning major trophies. Our succession plan will reflect this continued ambition. So there is a succession plan. So there you go. I stand corrected on what I said previously. There is a succession plan. And it'll be interesting to see who that is. Dennis Bergkamp as director of football or Mark Overmars? I don't want Mark Overmars after the stuff that he was accused of, to be honest. Dennis Bergkamp, possibly. Dennis Bergkamp. But yeah, probably not Mark Overmars. But there we go. So that is it on the statement. In terms of what he's going to do next, it sounds like he's taking over the Nottingham Forest group. So David Ornstein said this earlier today. Arsenal sporting director Edu agrees to join group controlled by Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis. Not signed yet, and the role's still to be finalised, but he's leaving Arsenal for a new post, which includes responsibility for their growing operation. So there you go. He's... And this is something that people have to understand, right? Edu hit a ceiling at Arsenal. And that ceiling wasn't something that he could break through. The next, the step above what he currently is, effectively, at that point, you're looking at like, yeah, a CEO almost. You're looking at a chief of operations or a chief whatever. And reportedly, rumored, he couldn't break that ceiling. And in fact, actually, he wasn't even considered as someone that could do that. So he had reached the top of where he could reach at Arsenal. And on one hand, you might say, well, good for him. Surely he wants to see it through. And 5 months ago, he said he did want to see it through, you know? But equally, he's now been offered an opportunity to go and lead a multi-club project with a load more responsibility, a load more power, and a load more money. Truth, if you want to be honest about it, according to Miguel Delaney in the Independent, he was offered treble the salary to go and join them from what he was on at Arsenal. And if this was any other business, I think people get it twisted because it's a football club. But if this was any other business, if you were working a job, and you might even be at one of the most prestigious companies you could be at, but if you'd reached your ceiling there and you were never going to get further than where you were at, if a less prestigious company came in for you, but were like, we want you to lead this company and we're going to offer you treble what you're currently earning, you'd probably take it. So I just think it's a normal progression. I think people have made a lot out of it. I think some of the conversation today has been over the top on both sides. That's the crazy thing. It's like everyone kind of wants to have an extreme position on this. Either this is amazing because Edu was rubbish and we had a rubbish transfer window and we needed someone better, and this is the best thing that could happen, which I think is a little bit of kind of people coping, and people don't want to admit that, this might be a little bit of a hiccup. And it might not be a hiccup, but it's not a great thing that he's leaving, because the reality is, look at where we were in July 2019. Right? Look at now, he's not wholly responsible for the progress, but he's been part of it. You cannot sit there and say Edu's done a bad job when he's had a very significant role within the club, and during that time, we have progressed remarkably. So he's done a good job. Equally, this isn't some, well, it's all falling apart at Arsenal and Edu's fleeing a sinking ship and who's going to be the next one to go and all of that stuff. It's just, it's just a guy leaving a job. At the end of the day, it's a guy leaving a job. Is he replaceable? Yes. That's the fundamental thing. That's the biggest question. Is he replaceable? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. There's no doubt he has made mistakes. There have been things that we've struggled with. How many times have we missed out on our number one target? How many times have we had to pivot? And within all of that, the recruitment, most of the recruitment is not done by Ed. Edu doesn't sit there late at night scouring the internet, looking at highlights from the Brazilian 4th division or, anything like that. He's not scanning data to try and... There's an entire team of people that do that. And then he gets presented along with Arteta with the best players. So it's I guess it's a shame that he wanted to leave, and perhaps it does impact our January transfer window, depending on how quickly we bring someone in. But again, because there are already so many senior people at the club that are involved anyway, we might still be able to get deals done. I think, I think it is what it is. Wish him all the best. And all the club can do from here is make sure that we go out and get the best person for the job. That's the key thing now. Go and get the best person for the job. And I'm sure we'll do that. So he's more negotiated than talent ID. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When people talk about, if a player's been a flop, well, Edu wasn't the one that scouted them, other than Marquinhos, which I think was to do with his connections in Brazil, and Willian, which I think he had a big hand in doing Willian, and I think that was poor. But other than that, the guy realistically, what he does, he negotiates with agents and players, he negotiates with clubs, and he negotiates with our owners to try and get the money to pull deals off. That's what he does. And there are other people that can do that. So people just want to see us doing poorly. Yeah, some people do. What about Cheeky Berger staying? I believe he is actually retiring. I'm fairly sure he was very committed to retiring. I laugh at all the rival fans who say Edu and Arteta are shit and are bottlers, but are the first to celebrate him leaving. Well, that's the thing, right? That's always the thing. It's amusing. No issues with him going, but slightly disappointed with the timing. Also, I seriously hope Arteta doesn't become like Wenger did. We need someone in that position. I agree. Arteta does need someone, and there have been question marks as to whether Edu actually had enough. Edu challenged Arteta enough. There were question marks over that. And I hope we bring someone in that does challenge Arteta. 100%. It shouldn't just be down to Arteta to make the decisions. We've seen that with, Pep doesn't make all of the shots at City. Klopp certainly didn't. And in fact, at Liverpool, it went downhill the more responsibility Klopp was given for signings. We as Gunners wear our hearts on our sleeve. Yeah, we do. Do you think we already have a replacement? I would expect we've already been. This isn't new, but look, this won't be new news to Arsenal. Okay, this is a massive move for Edu. This won't be a case that within the last week. We know for a fact that the Forest owner was interested in him ages ago. So this won't be new news to Arsenal. The news has broken today. I would imagine that Arsenal have known this for a while, or have at least known that it was a possibility, and that Edu was open to the move, and that he was having conversations with them. And if the club is as well run as we think it is, as soon as they were getting the feeling that Edu is maybe looking elsewhere, you should already at that point be on the hunt for the next person. So yeah, I would imagine that we have at least a short list in mind already of people that we want to go for. I'll never blame Edu for Willian, because everything about that deal screamed it was a brilliant move. It didn't work at Arsenal, but he's proved his quality at Fulham. Yeah, true. I just wonder, Willian was on a lot of money, is more the point. David Luiz as well. I don't know if Edu was involved in the David Luiz deal, but he was another one that was on a lot of money, and Chelsea were happy to say goodbye to him. But there we go. Was Edu the one not signing a striker? No. Edu tried to sign Sesko. But that fell through. And look, we don't know what goes on in all of these conversations, right? Every time that we've gone for a player and not got them, whether it's Vlahovic or Mudryk or Sesko or Zubamendi or Caicedo, that it is quite a long list of players that we have gone for and not got. You never know why. Really, we never know the full details of why. We don't know if Edu dropped the ball. We don't know if other clubs were asking for too much. You never know. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know who was at fault or whatever. Brighton always have a list of around 5 people to replace anyone that leave. Can't imagine we'd be different. No, yeah, exactly. I feel like Arteta is the most powerful man at the club. Do you think that's a good or a bad thing? I don't think he actually is. I think when it comes to footballing decisions, I think he is. And I do actually think that can be a problem. I do genuinely think it would. There aren't many old heads at the club anymore, right? It's a lot of younger men. And I do think there should maybe, not even necessarily be an old person, but I do think there should be someone there that is willing to go toe-to-toe with Arteta. And I don't know if we have that. Because Arteta isn't immune to getting things wrong. He's not. It's as simple as that. And also, he can't be aware of absolutely everything. There's not enough time in the world for Arteta to be fully focused and fully clued up on everything and everyone and able to make decisions on everything and everyone, right? He is focused on the current group of players we have. He is not sat there scouting players for potential future signings. There are people whose dedicated job is doing that. So they need to have the power. Are you describing Wenger? Well, it was a problem with Wenger. Yeah, it was a problem. But that was part of when Wenger left. There was, there is supposedly or has supposedly been an overhaul since the Wenger days. Does Martinelli worry you now? we'll come back to this. I want to talk about the Newcastle game in a little. Well, I mean, to be fair, actually, we can pretty much move on to the Newcastle game now. I pretty much finished on Edu, but yeah, look, the short of it is, yes, he's leaving. Yes, it's a bit of a shame. No, it's not a particularly big deal. Sporting doesn't exactly affect us on the pitch. The reactions of Arsenal are finished. Makes no sense. Yeah, agreed. And also, actually, one final thing. Some people that think that Edu was a key in getting certain players, Ødegaard, for example, what we usually hear, actually, is that when we pull things off, when we pull Declan Rice off, didn't pull him off, Christ. I mean, maybe he is pulling them off. No, God, that would be ridiculous. When we get big deals done, how often do we hear that Arteta has been a really important part? That Arteta has gone and spoken with them? That Arteta has presented something to them? I do feel like Arteta is more of the pull than Edu was. But we'll see. I guess the tell will be, how do things go from here? I guess we'll find out in the future if Edu was a massive loss, if things go downhill. Wilshere and Edu have left in the space of 2 months. Should be worried. Yeah, but both of them left for the same reasons. That's almost the exact point, right? Both of them left because they'd hit a ceiling. Jack Wilshere had hit a ceiling. There was no role for Jack Wilshere above the under-18s, right? That's a ceiling. Jack Wilshere had to move to a championship club to get out from under that ceiling. Edu had hit a ceiling. He had to move to a lesser institution to move upwards. That's life. That is life. And they shouldn't get special treatment because they're ex-Arsenal. They shouldn't. So it's actually good. I mean, I remember when Zinni said that he showed up to his door with Gabby Jesus. So it makes sense. Yeah. The important thing we all need to remember is all of these reports coming out that it's journalists making up bullshit about the inner details of Edu leaving, as no one reported this prior to the announcement. Yeah, exactly. No, there wasn't a whisper about Edu leaving until Sammy Mockbell dropped it, right? It was a Sammy Mockbell exclusive. Even Ornstein didn't know about it. It was a Sammy Mockbell exclusive. And within an hour, you've got people giving thought pieces on the inner workings of Arsenal and why it happened. You didn't have a fucking clue, Sunshine. Yeah? You didn't have a clue what was going on. So you're absolutely bang on with that, Ross. Nelson starting for Fulham tonight. Love to see it. Is Smith Rowe starting for them as well? Why should we be worried? Wilshere replaced someone last season itself. People just overthink. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to worry about. Is there an injury update, or are all of the players fit for Wednesday? There is, do a watch along for Fulham Brentford. I am probably not going to do that, unfortunately. The next watch along on Big Up, link in the description, will be the Inter Milan versus Arsenal game. Also, potentially tomorrow's stream on here, we will have our first ever guest appearance for a show. I'm hopefully, which will be fun as we preview the Inter game. But yeah, look, we need to talk about Saturday, unfortunately. Much as I'd rather just, in many ways, forget that it ever happened. We do need to talk about it. And we need to be rational. Okay? We need to be rational about this game. We were poor. We were very poor. Is it Lee Gunner? It's not Lee Gunner, unfortunately. No. What happened on Saturday? Asking for a friend? Yeah. No. Man City lost on Saturday. I don't know if you saw. I don't think anything else happened other than that. No. Look, we lost and it was bad. Nid, thank you very, very much for being a member for 3 months. Nid, absolute legend. We're going to go on a berserking run in the next 4 months. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. Nid, I believe it. I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine. Is it Edu? Yeah, we got Edu on for an interview. He's going to be my co-host. No, he's not. But look, this game was bad. This was the worst game for us from of this season so far. It was the first time that we've dropped points, and there was no real excuse for it. There was no, in the previous 4 games that we dropped points in, 3 of them we'd got red cards in those games. And the 4th one, we were missing Saliba and ended with a back 4 of Partey, White, Kivior, and Miles Lewis-Skelly. This one, pretty much full strength, barring Martin Odegaard and Calafiori. And we just didn't turn up. We didn't turn up. We conceded that early goal. And I think we said on the preview how important that first goal would be. And unfortunately, it went against us. I didn't think there was much we could do about that goal. You could be really hypercritical. Obviously, Thomas Partey could head the ball anywhere other than straight to Isak, which is probably the biggest mistake. Gabriel could maybe drop backwards onto Isak. Saliba, he can see Isak in front of him. Can he get there quicker to challenge for it? Honestly, it's a first-time cross that is inch perfect. I think no one really expects Gordon to play that ball first time. The fact that he does play it first time, you'd then expect it to be, you're not expecting an inch perfect cross when he does it. And then the header was great as well. It's one of those. Sometimes you just concede a good goal, and we conceded a good goal. Now, for me, at that point, you're looking for a reaction. That's where you need a reaction. And we didn't get that reaction. In fact, if anything, there was a reaction and it was a negative reaction. That for me was the worry. Opening 10 minutes, I thought we had looked confident. Opening 10 minutes, I thought we'd looked strong. Actually, that goal really seemed to take the wind out of us, which I thought was frustrating. Did you see the Partey interview after Newcastle? He's massively stepped up in my book. I'm so impressed with him this season. No, I actually don't think I did see that interview. Did he say anything specific or interesting? Devin, thank you for being a member for 7 months. I've just come back from my trip to Japan, and while I was gonna say we haven't won in 3 matches and Edu was left, while I was gone, we haven't won in 3 matches and Edu was left. What the hell is going on? Yeah, Devin, it's not going ideally. But I do massively appreciate the support of being a member for 7 months. Absolutely sensational. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, for me, the reaction to going 1-0 down was really poor. And it was just a bad day at the office for everyone. And, listen, I'm a huge fan of Arteta. I am absolutely Arteta in. I am so bullish on where we are going with Arteta. He had a poor day at the office. Now, I can say in hindsight, the lineup was wrong. At the time when the lineup came out, I was happy with it. So I can't, I'm sure now that he's got the hindsight of it, Arteta admits it was wrong. I can't criticize Arteta for the starting lineup because I didn't think it was a bad starting lineup. My biggest issue with Arteta on the day was the speed at which he made changes. That, for me, was my biggest frustration. Not only that he didn't make a change until the 61st minute. Sometimes you just have to acknowledge 45 minutes into that game at halftime, clearly, we were not creating enough. Clearly, there was not enough intensity. Clearly, something needed to change. And sometimes you just got to make a halftime sub. And he doesn't like to do it. But sometimes you've got to send a message to the squad. You've got to hook a couple of players off at halftime and say, this isn't good enough. And we need to change what we're doing here. We need to change the approach. But he didn't. And that meant another wasted 15 minutes at the start of the second half where it was just the same as the first half. And it was like, you can't expect things to change when you don't change anything yourself. The fact that then Trossard survived another 10 minutes beyond that, I thought was wild. And really, a big tell for me were the subs of Zinchenko and Jorginho. Because those subs, you look at bringing on Jorginho in the 86th minute when you're chasing a goal. First of all, that's a damning indictment of our bench. You're looking to the bench for goals. You really don't have them on there. But secondly, that was basically an acknowledgement that we had to bring someone on that could actually pass between the lines. And Zinchenko was a similar sub. Now, in hindsight, at least one of Zinchenko and Jorginho should probably have started, or Thomas Partey should have started in midfield. One of those situations should have happened. And I think maybe in hindsight, a better system would have been Timber at right back, where I think he's a lot better. Zinchenko at left back, Partey and Rice in midfield. Potentially even Partey, Rice and Merino in midfield because Trossard was offering nothing. Let Kai Havertz actually play as a number 9. And I think that would have been a lot better. None of those things happened. And we never really looked like scoring a goal. You know, Declan Rice gets an opportunity at the end. Marino had a shot blocked from a corner. Other than that, we really didn't create much. And it's frustrating, you know. I was on your Twitch and saw someone say we need a centre-back. I was thinking about it. It isn't every backup centre-back sort of a fullback? Do you think we might need one upgrade if we sell Zinni and Kivior next summer? No, but it depends what way you look at it. On one hand, you could say every backup centre-back is a fullback. On the other hand, you could say all of our fullbacks are basically centre-backs. That's just kind of the squad that we're building, right? So, Gabriel could be backed up by Calafiori, who is a left centre-back. Saliba's backed up by Ben White. Timber could play either of those positions. So I don't think we need a centre-back. Did you see the rumour that only Rice and Timber clapped the away fans after the game? I didn't see that, no. I didn't see that. But that's poor if that's true. If they were the only two that clapped the fans, that's poor. Because Newcastle is a grim away day. Well, if you're an away fan and you're travelling to Newcastle, losing the game, especially a lunchtime kickoff, you know, God knows how early they'd have had to set off for that game. The least you can do is applaud. And look, this game, look, the biggest takeaway, of course, from most fans has been that we're missing Martin Odegaard. And of course we are. We're missing his creativity. I'll be honest, I've seen games like that before from Arsenal, even when Martin Odegaard was playing. So I don't want to just absolutely fully ignore the performance and pretend it didn't happen and just say, well, once we've got Odegaard back, it'll change. I've seen that performance before when Martin Odegaard's in the side. Now, it's not just about Martin Odegaard's creativity. It's also about missing him as a captain. How often do you see when the performance is a bit flat, Martin Odegaard starts going around and getting everyone up for it? No one was really doing that. I've been telling you about Martinelli. Yeah, look, I mean, Martinelli is struggling at the moment. I would agree. By the way, look, I mean, the Martinelli conversation... Okay. The Martinelli conversation is... look, the reality is this. He is struggling. He has been struggling for quite a while. The last time he was genuinely exciting to watch or genuinely at a level that's good enough, really consistently, was before he got that injury last season. Remember when he got that foot injury, when he got like a laceration to his foot? Kept him out for about a month. Before that, he was good. Since then, he's struggled. He struggles against low blocks. I do think it's no coincidence that the only period this season where it looked like he was beginning to turn it around, because it did look like he was beginning to turn it around at one point. It did. That period was when we had Calafiori. It's almost perfect in terms of when it lines up. Martinelli comfortably looked at his best when we had Calafiori. And I do think that makes a difference. I think, you know, Timber behind him, inverting, never really playing the right ball out to him is difficult. So I do think he's missing Calafiori. But I can't, you know, there will come a point where we can't, you know, constantly say what Martinelli needs and constantly go, now, well, he needs Merino and he needs Calafiori and he needs this and he needs that. At some point, you've got to go and get a winger that doesn't need anything. That, you know, at some point, you've got to go and get a winger that needs the ball at his feet. And that's it. All he needs, give him the ball. And that's all he needs. Now, there aren't many of those and it's difficult to sign them. But, you know, the left wing at the moment is just a general issue. Realistically, Martinelli's not at the level he needs to be. Trossard is probably the next backup. I don't like him starting games. I don't think he's got long left at the club. Then you've got Jesus, who can kind of do a shift there, but he's not really a left winger. And then you've got Raheem Sterling, who, you know, the fact that he didn't come off the bench against Newcastle says it all about him. So, yeah, I think logically, and look, if we're 100% honest, Mikel Arteta wasn't going after Mykhailo Mudryk for no reason. The club weren't willing to drop 80 million on Mykhailo Mudryk because they were happy with Martinelli. That's a reality. For a long time, even before Martinelli had kind of deteriorated in the way that he had, actually, when Martinelli was not far off his peak, the club were already trying to get another left winger in. So I do think long term that is a move that we make. Again, it is difficult to know who to go for. Nico Williams actually hasn't started this season that well. You've got Kvaratskhelia, who I think would be great. Rafa Leao, I'm not a huge fan of. People are talking about Ademola Lookman again. Scored a really nice goal for Atalanta at the weekend. But there's not like a really obvious answer at the moment, in my opinion. But there does need to be some sort of solution because I do think it's a problem. But for me, the biggest issue is this. The biggest issue is this front two. And I pray that we fix this once Ødegaard comes back in. Kai Havertz needs to be here. Kai Havertz needs to be playing as a 9. You look at his heat map, you look at his pass map, he's doing like half of the job. He's doing half of the job that Martin Ødegaard does, right? But when he's doing that job, it means there's no one in here. And Trossard's not doing it. Trossard drops deeper. And I just feel like that's a big issue for us at the moment. And even before Ødegaard is back, that's something that just needs to be fixed. I don't know how you do it, but just let Havertz go back to playing as a 9. Semenyo would be an option for sure. I like him. I do. Kudus. There was a report in the Mirror today that Arsenal could be looking to offload Leandro Trossard to Saudi in order to fund a £90 million move for Kudus. Now, 90 million, I think, is pushing it, to be honest. 90 million for Kudus is pushing it. We could have got him for 38 million 14 months ago. If Edu and Arteta had tuned into the live streams 14 months ago and listened to me talk about Mohamed Kudus, we could have saved 60 million or 52 million. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But this was unacceptable. For the first time this season, that game for me, no excuses. Yeah. You can talk about the ref. Yeah, there were times where the ref was, falling into Newcastle's trap and giving them things. But that's always going to happen. And that's not an excuse. There was no big call that went against us. It was just a bad day at the office. Now, these two games, remarkably important. Inter away, the importance of Inter away isn't actually the result in terms of, we can afford, in the context of the Champions League, we can afford to lose to Inter. We can. That's the reality. But I wonder if we can actually afford to lose in terms of the current state of the fan base and the current, I feel like losing that would really demoralize a lot of people. So for that reason, I think we need to go away to Inter and get a result. And I think that'll tee us up for what is ultimately now a massive game. Chelsea away, if we lose Chelsea away, not only are we 3 points behind Chelsea at that point, potentially 4 points behind Nottingham Forest at that point, but we'd be potentially 10 points behind Liverpool. And that may be a stretch too far. Catching 10 points on Liverpool may be a stretch too far, especially because you could also be 8 points behind City. Yeah, if you're 10 points off Liverpool and 8 points off City, you're not coming back from that, I don't think. So it's a huge game. It's an absolutely huge game. It is a must-win. Rarely do I think there's a must-win 11 games into the season. But this one, I think, is a must-win. We're already out of the title race anyway. We're not. We were 5 points behind Liverpool at the start of February last season. And we caught up with them. We're 7 points behind now. But they've got to play Man City. If they draw against Man City, both of them drop 2 points, then we're only 5 points behind them, and we've dealt with that before. So we're not out of the title race. I think, look, get beyond the Chelsea game, and we have a really nice run. Other than Sporting away, between the 23rd of November, or effectively, other than Sporting away, between the 10th of November and the 4th of January, we don't leave London. We don't leave London. We've got winnable game, 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 right? We've got 10 very winnable games, all of which are in London, other than Sporting. We should have a fully fit squad. That's the make or break section of the season. But to even have the opportunity for that to be a make or break part of the season, we have to beat Chelsea. We have to beat Chelsea. Now, if you look at, for example, in the same time that we're doing that, look at Liverpool's run. Leverkusen at home, Villa at home, Southampton away, Real Madrid at home, Man City at home, Newcastle away, Everton away, Girona away, Fulham at home, EFL Cup away at Southampton, Spurs away, and then it gets a little bit easier. But, you know, their set of games much, much harder than ours. And Man City as well. Man City's next set of games, given how much they're struggling. Sporting away, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Feyenoord at home, Liverpool away, Forest at home, Palace away, Juventus away, United, Villa away. Like, they have much, much harder fixtures coming up than we do. There is still an opportunity for us to get back into the title race. Not saying we will do it, but I'm not ruling it out. I'm not giving up on this team. I'm not giving up on this title. Absolutely not. But like I said, Chelsea, massively, massively important. So there we go. How do you not realize? How do people not realize there are 28 more games to play? Exactly. And people will say, oh, but you've got to play everyone twice. Yeah, of course you've got to play everyone twice. But some games are objectively harder than other games. And we've got a lot of those hard games out of the way. Let's not forget, we're a good team in bad form. We can recover from this easily. I agree. So there we go. Anyway, look, it is time for Guess the Goal Scorer. I'm going to give you all of the information about an Arsenal goal. You have to guess who scored it and the team that it was against in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. So get your fingers on your keyboards because we are starting now. This goal was scored with the left foot. This goal was scored with the left foot. It was assisted by Alexander Lacazette. It was assisted by Alex Lacazette. It was in the 58th minute. It was in the 58th minute. It was at the Emirates. It was at the Emirates. It was a 3-3 draw. It was a 3-3 draw in December 2017. In December 2017. So a left-footed goal assisted by Alex Lacazette in the 58th minute at the Emirates in a 3-3 draw in December 2017. Who got it first? It was Ethan Udall. It was indeed Mesut Ozil against Liverpool. If you don't remember that game, what a game. Arsenal 2-0 down and then got it back to 3-2. Unfortunately, we did go and draw the game 3-3, but the limbs when the Ozil goal, I was there, and that was a period of my life where I didn't go to many Arsenal games at all because I still lived years away. But I was there, and just that few minutes where we scored 3 goals in like 5 minutes or whatever it was, unbelievable limbs. Xhaka scored a worldie, and then the little assist from Lacazette, backheeled assist from Lacazette into Ozil. What a goal. What a goal. Second was Talent. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Schofield. Schofield was second. Talent was third. Ajani was fourth. And Logical Nonsense was fifth. So there you go. Arsenal are walking in a winter wonderland. Yeah, the 22nd of December. There you go. Goal given as well. Goal checked. Goal given. Ethan Udall. Who had a stronger left foot? Podolski or Xhaka? Good question. I reckon Granit Xhaka. Even though Podolski's felt harder, I reckon if you measured it, it was probably Granit Xhaka. Poldy, that Liverpool backline was shocking. Mate, the Sanchez got the first goal, the defending from Joe Gomez at right back. So poor. So poor. Anyway, it is now time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I'm going to give you the entire career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. And you have to guess who that player is in the chat first. Just to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. Mr. Super Chat. Oh, shit. Nid, thank you very, very much for the 100 rupee Super Chat. Said this before the season. Make it to game week 15, not more than 5 points behind. And that's the title challenge in the lineup. I agree. It's exactly what I said. If we could get to game week, I think I said 14. Game week 14 is Man United. Get through that, still in a title race or still within reach, and we're in a title race. So I completely agree. And Nid, again, thank you very, very much for the support. Oh, you're all throwing in the guest. Right, the player started their career at Standard Liège. They started their career at Standard Liège. They went to FC Porto. They went to Manchester City. They went on loan to Valencia. They went on loan to Everton. They then moved permanently to Valencia. They were then without a club. They then joined Saint-Etienne. They were then without a club. They then joined Estoril Praia. So Standard Liège, Porto, Man City, Valencia on loan, Everton on loan, Valencia permanently, Saint-Etienne and Estoril Praia. And the winner is VV Vlad. It's VV Vlad back on top. Congratulations. It was indeed. How do you pronounce his first name again? Ilakim Mangala. It was indeed Ilakim Mangala. Ryan Henderson was second. Ronan was third. Ethan Udall was fourth. And Francisco Oliveira was fifth. There you go. There you go. SD wants VAR. No, I don't think you're getting VAR on that, SD. You said the closest you got was Toby Alderweireld, unfortunately. So, sorry about that, SD. Matt with the 199 super chat. Thank you very, very much, Matt. Just joined. Why did Edu leave now and not wait until later? Well, I actually think once he had made the decision to leave, it was more important for him to leave now than to wait. As soon as, obviously he's going to this Nottingham Forest group. Once they've come in for him and agreed that he's going to move there, the quicker he moves, the better, actually. Because right now, it's not a transfer window. They probably want him for the January transfer window, and we need someone new in as quickly as possible. So, yeah, that's why he's gone now. If you mean why not wait till later, as in like seasons down the line, you never know when an opportunity like this is going to come back for you. So, there you go. Anyway, look, that is going to be the end of the stream. I massively appreciate you all for joining. Like I said, tomorrow's stream, 6:30 as normal, we will hopefully have a special guest on as we preview Inter versus Arsenal. I'll be live on Twitch tonight, as always. By the way, 86 rated Miles Lewis Skelly is going to be in the club. We might play COD as well. So link down to the Twitch is down in the description. Other than that, as always, if you can like, subscribe, enjoy the rest of your Monday evening, and I will catch you either tonight or tomorrow. Goodbye.